This conference will now be recorded.
Fine. So what are you understanding yesterday? So yesterday's class, what are we understanding? So we understood in each and every applications or in each and every project, we will be having two types of applications. So one is like framework and the other one is about implementation. Okay, so consider any project like city. So it should be having, since it will be having like multiple implementations, those are to be segregated with some frameworks. So it might be having one main framework, and it might be having something like banking as one framework, maybe one insurance as framework, within which multiple implementations. Understanding? This is what we're understanding. So overall, what do you say like definition of framework? So what are you saying like about framework? Framework is something where we'll be maintaining all the reusable components. Am I correct? All the reusable things we maintain in the framework. And if you feel anything like specific to be used at that moment, we create it in implementation. Two types of application is what will be given. So today, if we join in any company, maybe this is our main framework, maybe this has banking and this has insurance, and you are given with maybe this is the structure. Credit card application, loans, accounts, and medical insurance, vehicle insurance, maybe like property insurance. If this is the structure. So today, if you join in any company, as a developer, you will be given access only for implementations. Getting my point? As a developer, you will be given only for access for implementations. So this will be the PEGA login page. Today, after you joining company, you should be given it some accesses, right? So this will be the default login page. Your manager will create you some ID and password. With that, you have to log in. So once you log in, you will be given access for only implementations. Blindly remember this. You will be given access only for implementations. So maybe if you are given access to develop this one, so business analyst they will ask you to design respect to screen. Am I correct? Respect to screen. Maybe like first name, last name, age, and all these things. And in this process, if you feel anything like reusable, so you have to understand creating it in above, right? You have to understand creating it in above. If it is still more reusable, you should create here and somewhere use it here. So whatever the access given for you, that is only for implementation. So with that access, few things you have to create, maybe in parent one, maybe few things in parent two. So these things you have to first analyze. Without you given access for these parents, how do you create, how do you develop, how do you use from there to here? These things first we have to understand. Getting my point? Okay, so let me give you one more scenario. So this is our organization. This has like main framework, and maybe this has like banking, and this has like insurance. Okay, and this has got three implementations, and maybe here medical insurance has one implementation, vehicle insurance, maybe like property insurance. So today city management is deciding to split this vehicle insurance into two equal halves. Suppose if we all are, suppose if you wanted to go for an insurance for your vehicle, what you will do? You'll go to the nearest provider, and there they might ask you to go to counter number 1 or 2. So this implementation application is equally used both for two-wheeler as well as four-wheeler. Now management is deciding to divide two different applications, one for two-wheeler, maybe one for four-wheeler. This is the new task or requirement given. What you will do for this? First, we'll create one more implementation and we'll connect it to this existing framework. Am I correct? Correct, right? Okay. Now, now you are supposed to design something like four-wheeler where first name, last name, maybe like vehicle number, and maybe like policy number. These things is what you have to create. So now tell me first name and last name. So if you are supposed to create, where you will do that? Framework meaning which framework? The main one, right? So these things should be used even at this point, no? So you will be creating somewhere in the topmost first name and last name. What about this vehicle number? Or tell me about this policy number. This policy number where you will create insurance framework, because it should be used between all these three. And what about this vehicle number? Hmm? What about this vehicle number? Where you will create this vehicle number? Same. Why? Because vehicle number should be used as well as here also. Between two different meaning, in it's above parent only. So if you are creating like vehicle number here, maybe in future, tire size, engine number, chassis number, all these are related to vehicle alone, right? So if you are planning to create somewhere in this insurance main framework, so those will be used into its medical insurance also. Is this really correct? Is this correct way of segregating? Then what you will do? Then what you will do? So I have got three implementations earlier connected to one insurance framework. So what are all the reusable related to insurance? You have to create it here, no doubt in it. And what might be reusable across, you'll create somewhere here. Now I want like vehicle number as one to be created, that should be used more in more than one implementation. So you cannot create it here. In future, tomorrow again you have to create it. Instead, you have to create somewhere its parent, and this is parent for other things also. Is this really correct way of segregating? That is what I'm asking. Got my point? Okay, so today you are supposed to create one new implementation. You have to manage the existing design, and it should be adaptable for the coming scenarios also. How to manage this? Tell me what you'll do for this. What you do? So you are supposed to go for change in framework design also. So this is its implementation. You have to create one more framework for this vehicle insurance, maybe two-wheeler, maybe four-wheeler, and maybe something like property insurance, whatever it is. Okay, so you have to understand project structure can be as complicated as per your design. Okay, so if your project is more complicated, you can have multiple frameworks also. There will not be any such restriction. Okay, so framework maintaining is strongly recommended by PEGA, and it should be as many as based on your structure. So if you observe, did anyone observe PEGA logo? PEGA logo, did anyone observe that? It will be like horse, not just a horse. It's like flying horse. Avuna kada? It's just a flying horse. So below that horse symbol, you will be having one tagline. Did anyone observe the tagline? Anyone online? So this will be the tagline. What is this? Build for change. So whatever the structure we are having today, maybe after 10 years, if you want it to change, it should be adaptable. So the structure as a business analyst, what I'm creating today, after 10 years or 15 years, this whole structure should be easily adaptable. If you want to join one framework in between, it should be easily done. So that above things should be derived into this one. Whatever the things within which should be derived to its child also. So build for any latest change. Adaptability should be easy in this PEGA. That is what the logo they designed. So So finally, you should be understanding first about organization structure. How your structure is. Without you knowing that, so how do you develop? So maybe if I give you one requirement, you should first understand what is its parent one, maybe parent two, maybe parent three. Without you knowing this structure, how do you manage parent and child relation? Not possible, right? Okay, fine. So after 3 months or 4 months, once our training is done, so you will carry your resume stating like 3 years experience. Am I correct? After just 3 months you'll say like 3 years experienced, no doubt. So in that scenario, if you go for any interview, maybe CTS company or whatever it is, if you go for some interview, so interviewer here, he might ask you, or he might just give you pen and paper, and he will ask you to design, or he'll ask you to draw organization structure of your company. So whatever the project you're working from past 3 years, can you please draw and show me that structure? This is what he'll ask you. For this, what you'll do? So you'll just go for city as your whole structure. Maybe it's related framework one, maybe framework two as banking, insurance. Likewise, you will draw some structure. So after he's seeing this like credit card, maybe loans or accounts, he might ask you extra questions also. So in this credit card application, what is the design you would have done? Or what is the main, what is this application all about? So if he's asking you about this application, you can say like, with this application, a real user can able to register a customer. First, we will be checking his PAN card number. Am I correct? First, customer has to be checked with his PAN card number. Based on CIBIL score, this user will be deciding whether credit card to be issued or not. So something about that application in one or two lines is what you'll state. So if this is the statement given by you, so again interviewer might ask you, from where are you getting this CIBIL score? So you said your organization is city, and city as a whole will not be having this data. They have to get from third party, right? What is that? It might be CIBIL application or RB application, whatever it is. So on clicking of the submit button, we are hitting third party application and we are getting some response. Correct, right? So why is this not mentioned in your structure? Is this, or is there not any connection between these two? This is what they'll ask you. So finally, what I mean to say here is organization structure meaning. So in this organization, each and every application, if it is providing service for others, or if it is taking service from others, so this as a whole to be included in this point, in this diagram. Okay, so this alone, whatever the thing I'm highlighting, this alone is to be called as application structure, and this as a whole should be called as organization structure. Getting my point? Organization structure. So today, after you joining as a developer in some company, you will be given access for implementations, any one implementation. So here you are supposed to design. Here you are supposed to design. So in this process of you designing, if you feel anything like reusable, you should understand creating in its parent. So day one, who will say that this is having parent one, maybe parent two or parent three. So someone should say, right? Maybe if you are asking your manager about your application structure, he'll simply say like, please check from your end. He'll simply say like, please check from your end. Meaning as a developer, after you logging in, it will take to any one implementation. From there, you should understand how many of parents is connected to this, how many parents it is having. So application structure from child to parent is easily what we can understand as a developer, but organization structure we cannot identify. Getting my point? Follow Tunara? So organization structure we cannot identify. So after you joining any company, you have to ask your manager to share organization structure. He'll give you one PDF document or Word document. Accordingly, you have to analyze. Getting my point? So application structure and organization structure both are little different. Application structure, after you logging somewhere, you can just identify to its topmost parent. But organization structure you have to get as like one flowchart in PDF form. So this is what we do. Okay, fine. Following right everyone? Online, offline? Just tell me. Online, everyone clear? What is framework, what is implementation, and what will be the structure, what is organization structure, what is application structure. All these are like basic things. Everyone clear it? All these are like basic things. Fine. So even if it is like one single implementation, so maintaining framework is strongly recommended. Okay, so today we all are starting a bank like ABC with just only one loans as application. Even for one implementation, so maintaining framework is strongly recommended. It's not mandatory, it's up to you. If you wanted to do repeated work every time, you can do, it's not a problem, but maintaining this is strongly recommended. And along with these things, there will be certain frameworks prepared by PEGA team directly. what will happen, is suppose if I am like a customer care person in Airtel. I don't know anything about Pega, Java, nothing, right? So I'm just an Airtel customer care person. So if a customer like you, if you are calling me asking for some query, so I'll be using respect to application, right? I'll be using some application, and this application more or less will be equal to customer care application of an Vodafone. Am I correct? Am I correct? So whatever the applications generally Airtel people are using, so it will be more or less similar to Vodafone customer care related, maybe Geo or whatever it is. So all the telecom related things will be more or less similar. And today, if I'm a nurse in Apollo Hospital, I'll be using some applications. And I stopped working in Apollo and I joined some other hospital like Kims. And the applications there will be similar to here, right? There might be changes, but more or less it will be similar, no? So under one sector, under telecom sector, there will be common things. Under banking sector, there will be common things. Under hospital sector, there will be common things. So that is the reason clients today, maybe if we are like an Airtel client or something like HDFC client, whatever it is. So if Airtel wants their applications to be designed with Pega, they will take Pega license first. Okay, meaning they'll be getting this access first. After that, whatever the common things between Airtel, Vodafone, or what are the common things in telecom, or whatever the common things may be in banking, okay, so extra common things will be designed by Pega team itself and they'll sell it separately. So Pega team, they will be selling or they will be marketing in two things. So one as like an Pega license first thing. After that, they will be even selling something like frameworks also, telecom framework, banking framework, insurance framework. So this framework will be separately purchased, and most of the common things will be directly derived, right? And on top of it, we can create new frameworks, whatever we want. Getting my point? So we can extra purchase frameworks also from Pega team. Okay, we call it like OOTB frameworks. I'll talk about it later. So Pega team will be selling even for telecom frameworks, banking, insurance, whatever it is. Fine. So if you don't want to go for that license cost or this framework cost, you need not purchase this frameworks. You can design everything on your own, which might take around like extra time for you. So instead of you bearing development cost there, you can straight away get that framework from Pega team. It's up to you. This is what generally happens. So fine. So this is our design. So today, after you joining one company, okay, so day one, your manager has to give you two things. Okay, after you joining one company, so day one, what you have to do? First, you have to log in into this Pega, right? So to get login into Pega, maybe today you joined in CTS company. So you'll be getting one employee ID, correct? You'll be getting one employee ID, and you will be kept on hold on bench maybe for 10 days, just a project to be assigned. So once you are assigned for respect to project like City by that time took license from Pega team and they're having complete structure ready. So you as like a vendor working there, you are not designing any structure, it is already designed. So you as an or if you are assigned for this City project and this City person, he will be giving you one more employee. He will be giving you his own IDs. So client ID is what you'll call. So one client ID with this might be generated. Okay. So if I'm a person directly working for the client or the Citibank, so I'll be getting one employee ID, right? Similarly, you are like a contract employee working with my company. So you also will be given with one employee ID. So this we call it like client ID. So after you getting client ID, you'll ask your manager to give this Pega access. This Pega is related to City, not CTS. Pega is related to City. So since you are trying to log into this Pega and do some kind of development work, so first you have to get this client ID, and with this client ID, your manager will create you login for you. So A1234 and some password. Your manager has to create some Pega ID for you. So before you logging in, first how to get this login page, how to get this login page, this we have to understand, right? So just to get this PEGA login page, we'll be having like, just to get this PEGA login page, maybe in your personal laptop and maybe in the office laptop, there will be two different scenarios. Okay, so in the personal laptop you have to first download PEGA and install it, and then it server will be running out and you'll be getting this page showing up. And in the office related things, so in the office whatever the page you'll see there, so that is we call it like enterprise edition, enterprise edition, and this we call it like personal edition. Okay, so installing personal edition and enterprise edition will be different. Okay, so now let me talk about personal edition. So since every one of you has to practice for these 3 months, you have to download it in personal laptops. So for that I'll share you, I think I have shared with everyone whoever has messaged me. So I'll share you today about like download file. Okay, so I'll give you one link. From there you have to download into your personal laptop, where it will be like 5 GB file, 5 GB memory it will be. So from the drive you have to download it, I'll give it. And after you downloading, so you have to follow certain steps. Okay, so before you install this personal edition, your laptop should be ready in terms of certain configurations. So your laptop should be minimum of 8 GB RAM. Okay, minimum of 8 GB RAM. It can be like 12, 16, that will be actually good, but it should be minimum of 8 GB RAM capacity. And if you are having like SSD, then it will be still more faster. So your hard disk, your laptop hard disk will be there, right? So it will be of two types, HDD or SSD. So if it is SSD, it will be still more faster. Even if it is like HDD also you can manage, but this is more recommended. So if it is SSD plus 4 GB also, it will work out, it will work out. And your laptop should be having like minimum 20 GB space. Okay, minimum 20 GB space. Okay, why? Because we'll be creating one project today, next day, tomorrow, two, three, four. So 5 projects is what I'll ask you to create, out of which 3 are official. Okay, and next two, one is for assignments and one is for exploring, I'll say these things later. So minimum 20 GB space is generally required in your hard disk. And and after and I'll give you one video also how to install everything, how to download, and what is the step 1 you have to check for, step 2, and how to uninstall if you're having older version of PEGA, and how to install this latest thing. I'll be giving with one video. So once you install everything, so whole process might take around 40 minutes, 30 to 30 minutes to 1 hour also, depending upon your laptop speed. So once you are done with everything, so automatically one server like this will be continuously running up the black window, whatever you're seeing. So there will be one server continuously running up. If this server is running up, you can get this URL automatically generated, and if we hit this URL in browser, you'll get this blue color login page. Clear? Okay, just follow that video. So process here is, in personal edition you have to download, you have to install, you have to run the server, and you have to hit this page, then we get this login. And from here whatever you do now, this will be exactly equal in the enterprise edition also. So in enterprise edition there will not be concept of installing. Blindly remember this. So in enterprise meaning, after you joining one company, your manager will give you one laptop. So if you carry that laptop and say your manager like, this is only 4 GB RAM, or I don't have enough memory, or how to download PEGA, what version of PEGA I have to download. So if you talk anything about installation in your real time, no doubt your job will be gone. Getting my point? No doubt your job will be gone. So point here is, there will not be concept of installation in the real time. Okay, there will not be any concept. But in the personal edition, installation will be there. You will learn everything for this 3 months, 4 months. You might be technically very strong. Okay, so you might be performing very good in the interview also. Your manager is like very good, uh, a very good impression on you. So after you joining there, if you talk about installation, so the very next question what he'll ask is, are you real experienced or not? This is what they'll ask straight away. So blind and important point is there will not be concept of installation in the enterprise in the real time. So what will happen without you? How do you get this page without installing? So here, remember one thing. So in my laptop, everything is installed. Okay. And I can see this server is also running up. And once this server is up, as I told you, one URL will be generated. And if I use this URL or if I give you this URL in WhatsApp to you, okay, so if I'm sharing this URL in WhatsApp with you, and in your laptop without you installing, if you hit this URL in your browser, can you expect this page? Can you expect this page in your laptop without installing anything? If I just give you this URL, if you hit, can you expect this blue login page? No. No. Why? There is no server. Okay, there is no server. Okay, now if I copy this URL and hit in another browser in my laptop only. So in my laptop, maybe I'm using Google Chrome. So I'll use Microsoft Edge. I'll copy this URL and paste it there. Will I get login page or not? Yes, sir. Okay. So if I open another browser, Opera, or if I open incognito mode, whatever it is, within my laptop, in any browser, I can hit this page, correct? Okay, within my laptop, meaning within my server, I can have this. Exactly in the real time also happens with the same. So city person, city client, they'll be getting license from PEGA systems team, and one network person will try to install at his end, maybe in USA client location. He'll try to install whatever the process we are doing now in personal laptop. So day one, this person will be doing there. So here server will be running up, right? If server is running up, one URL will be generated. Who all are connected to that server? In my laptop is my server. Who all are connected to that server? Connected to that server meaning, so one team might be in Japan, one team might be in India, another team might be in Australia. So if we all are connected to the same client network, client server, it can be accessed, right? So point here is, after you joining one company, you should be connecting to the client network, maybe with VPN or maybe Cisco, whatever it is. You will be connecting to the client network, and the URL what your manager is giving to you, if you can hit that in any browser, you'll get this login page. So it's not like installation manually or physically. Don't talk anything about installation there. Even it might be 2 GB RAM also, there should not be any problem because you're accessing via cloud. Getting my point? Okay, fine. So after you joining one company, first thing what you have to ask your manager, you have to ask about dev URL. So whatever the URL I'm seeing, so this we call it like development URL. Instead of local host, everything will be same. So localhost 8080 is what we'll see in our case. So there you can see something like ctdev. Rest everything should be same. Ctdev. Maybe if I'm a tester, ctqa. So different servers will be there. So first I have to ask my manager what is the URL. He'll just give me one URL. He'll just mail me. So with this URL, maybe I'll get this login page. Now login page, I can see something like PEGA as the logo with ID and password. What is PEGA? What is this PEGA? So if this is our city client, so today development happens, next day testing, next day, finally production. It reaches to the production, right? So if production means nothing but just a bank, consider. If I'm the bank manager here, and one person joining my bank, maybe one client, sorry, maybe one clerk joining my bank. So I have to give him the login page, right? I will be giving the same URL. So there it might be like city prod, whatever it is. So URL will be same. So if he is hitting that URL, he will get the same login page. Am I correct? Same login page. There, if he is seeing something like PEGA as the logo, what he'll understand? He is working for Citibank. What is PEGA? Maybe as a developer, we can understand PEGA is one software related thing. So the real client, what he'll understand, or real bank employees, no, right? So that is the reason first this home page should be customized. Home page should be customized. We'll be removing this PEGA logo. We'll be including like Citibank logo, and Citibank will be having like white and red color mostly. Instead of blue, change that to white and red background color. Instead of username and password one below another, keep it side by side. So how to customize this login page is what you have to do. Okay, day one, after you logging in, you have to first understand how to customize this. Fine. So after you customized, okay, maybe I have customized. Today, as a developer, you joined my company. So I should be giving you this URL, and then you'll be getting this login page. You are supposed to log in, right? You are supposed to log in. So I have to create ID and password also for you. Okay, I have to create ID and password. So you have to ask for development URL first thing. Second thing, asking to create ID and password, and then you have to ask for organization structure. These things are like basic is what you have to ask. Getting my point? You have to ask for URL, ID and password, and organization structure. And remember one thing, whoever is logging into PEGA. So this PEGA application, who generally who will be logging in? Tell me. Generally, who will be logging in? First thing, business analyst, they will be logging in and they have to design structure, right? Developer will not create application generally. So business analyst, they will be logging in and they will be creating two frameworks or three frameworks and respect to implementations. Business analyst, they will log in. Next, generally, tell me. Developers have to log in and they have to design, right? They will design credit card application, they will design loans application, whatever it is. And testing team has to log in. They have to test it. Deployment team, or maybe like administrative team, or maybe like real users. I mean, ultimately, these are to be logged in by the real users, right? Real users. So remember, into our PEGA application, whoever is logging, it might be the developer or the real user, whatever it is. Whoever is logging in, they are to be technically called as. They are to be technically called as, what is this? Operators. Okay, technically everyone whoever is logging into PEGA is to be called as what? Operator. So you have to ask your manager to create operator ID for you. Don't say like ID password. You have to say like create one operator ID for me. This is what you have to ask. If I'm a tester, okay, I'll log in, I'll just join, and my manager will create operator ID for me. And if I'm a bank employee, still I have to log in, so that is also called as an operator ID. But they might not know that. If we all are bank employees, we'll call it like ID password. But technically all these are to be called as what? Operator IDs. Fine. And in PEGA, there will be four type of roles. Four type of roles. So not only in PEGA, in any BPM tool generally. Okay, four type of roles. So consider, or you told me like business analyst has to log in. Day one, business analyst has to log in. After business analyst logging in, what will be the next screen you are expecting? If I'm the business analyst now, I'll just log in. What might be the next screen? Or if I'm a bank employee, if I'm logging in, I will be getting a screen like click here to register for credit card, click here to register for PAN card number, whatever it is, something related to real things, right? So we call those like real user portal. Getting my point? Let me tell you one thing. So you said like business analyst will log in, developer will log in, tester, Inka, what else you told? Administrator, mm, real users. Okay, so generally there will be multiple logins. So here, if a developer is logging in, I'll be getting the next screen where I have to design, right? There should be drag and drop functionalities, these things. So when once a developer is logging in, we'll be getting something called dev studio. Getting my point? We'll be getting something like dev studio, or we call it like app studio, or we call it like designer studio. There will be something where development should happen. And consider the testing team. If I'm a tester, if you are a developer, developed everything, and I have to test it, right? If I'm a tester, if I'm logging in, will I be getting like same dev studio what you got? No, right? I cannot do anything about development. What I'll be getting? I'll be getting directly output screen. What a real user he will be getting, testing person also has to get the same screen. He will test according to that. Am I correct? Okay, so testers once they are logging in, they will get something related to output screens. We technically call as user portal. Getting my point? User portal meaning testers as well as users will be getting same thing, right? Yes or no? User portal. Okay. Business analyst. Business analyst, what will be their general role? They'll log in. Next, what will happen? They have to create framework one, maybe framework two, and they have to link those two, or they have to create implementations. This is also kind of development but not full. Okay, it's also kind of development, meaning they also should be getting kind of development studio only, right? They also should get kind of development, creating a new application, so kind of development only. So they also should get kind of development related only. And consider administrator. Administrator meaning person one is developer, person two is tester. So after developer is developing everything, so this particular design has to be pushed to testing related team, that we call deployment. Am I correct? That we call deployment. So deployment related things, or how about the design he has done, that should be done by an administrator. So if I'm administrator, I'll log in and I'll take this build from one server to another server. So administrator, he once he logging in, he'll be getting something called admin studio. Getting my point? In PEGA, he should be getting something like admin studio. And what are the other roles you told me? Huh? చెప్పండి ఆన్లైన్ వాళ్ళైనా చెప్పండి. What are the other roles generally? So business analyst logs in, developer, tester, administrator, user. User meaning again two types of users will be there. Normal clerks as well as managers. Okay, level 1, level 2, or it might be multiple levels also. But all are like real users. They don't know anything about pickup. But there will be levels, right? So user role will be there, and the other one is like manager role. Manager meaning the real managers. Don't think like our project managers. Okay, don't think like our project managers. So if you are a normal developer, you should get dev studio. Am I correct? And maybe if I'm your manager, pega related manager, if I log in, still I'll get dev studio only, no? Still I have to get dev studio, right? So manager role meaning I'm talking about the real manager, and once he is logging in, he should be getting something different design compared to what a real user is getting. Okay, so manager, he has to get some extra options like approving or rejecting, so where the real users will not get. So there will be one role called manager. Once he's logging in, he'll get a screen called manager portal. Getting my point? Manager portal. So finally in pega there will be only four type of roles, only four. Okay, so that is like developer role, okay, and administrator role, user role, and manager role. Only four roles. You say any other thing, if you say like tester, testing also comes under user role only. You say like business analyst, they also comes under development role only. You say like project managers, they also comes under developer role. So you say like administrator, they comes here, the real managers and the real users. In pega, how many roles will be there? Four roles. Okay, so technically whatever the developer role you are seeing, this is to be technically called as author role. Okay, what is this? Author role. So in pega, four type of roles: author, admin, user, and manager. This is the final statement, you can make a note. So author, admin, user, manager. So now again tell me, look at here. So if an author is logging in, what will be the next screen he has to get? Dev studio. And if an administrator is logging in, admin studio. And if a real user is logging in, user portal. if a manager is logging in manager portal. Okay, fine. So today you joined my team. I'm a PEGA developer or PEGA manager. You joined my team. So what are you asking is, you are asking me some URL. I'll share you this URL. I'll share you this URL. After that, you'll get this login page. You have to ask me to create ID and password, right? Operator ID is what you have to ask. So I'll in return I'll ask you, what is your client ID? Your client ID will be your operator ID, nothing more than that. So I'll be creating one operator ID for you. What should be the role I have to give you? What should be the role? Authors, be specific. So what should be the role? Author role. Okay, so if you are a tester, you are logging in my company, so I have to create operator ready, right? No doubt. What is the role to be given? Tester, get me now. User role. User role. So if I'm a bank manager, I don't know anything about PEGA, and if you are the clerk joining my company or joining my bank, so we are supposed to create one operator ID for you, right? So creating an operator ID or doing such kind of things comes under development. Okay, I'm a bank manager. I cannot do any kind of ID creations directly for you. So what I have to do? So I have to ask my production support team. So saying like so and so person joined my bank, so he should be given access for credit card portal, his names. So if I share these details, this person logs into Dev Studio and he will create new operator ID for this person. And he'll just drop an email saying like ID and password is this. After he logging in, there will be like change password screen. This is what happening. Getting my point? Okay, so in this case, if you are a production support team member, so ID whatever you create for him, what should be the role? User role. అంతే కదా? It should be a what role? User role. So these basic things is what you have to know. These basic things is what you have to know. Fine. So now, if I am logging in, some ID and password, and if I click on login, if I'm a developer, what should be the next screen? Dev Studio. So how PEGA is understanding that this ID is for developer, this ID is for tester, this ID is for user, or this is for manager? How it will be knowing? So this login page is common for everyone. Login page is common for everyone. If I log in with my details, it will take to Admin Studio or Dev Studio. If you logging in the same screen, it will take user portal. If other person logging in with his ID, it might take to Admin Studio. So page is common, and based on ID and password, it is taken to the respective screens. What is happening on login click? This is what you have to know. Okay, this is what you have to know. So if I click on login now, maybe this is something dummy. If I click on login, will it take me to Dev Studio, the next screen? No, right? It what it should say generally? Wrong details, something about invalid details. If I click on this, it is saying that something invalid. Maybe if I enter correct details, it will take to the respective screen only, no? So first and foremost, if you are clicking on login button, you should understand this discussion very well. So after you entering some details, if you click on login button, so it has to first validate this ID and password is correct or not. Okay, it has to first validate. After it is validating, it has to check whether this person is developer or not. So how and where it will be checking? So if it has to check ID and password is correct or not, there should be some reference for this, right? There should be some reference. What will be the reference? No doubt database table. No doubt database table. So you should know that on clicking of this, it is hitting this database table and checking whether this ID and password is available, correct or not. Post that, it will be understanding what is the role given for him. Post that, it should be understanding what is the application and other things. Am I correct? So on click of this login button, if it is interacting with this database table, so we know database understands only SQL queries. Database will not understand whether it is PEGA, Java, .NET, Python. It will never understand anything. It will understand only SQL queries. Meaning on click of this login button, one SQL query will be automatically generated. We don't require anything right coding here. one SQL query will be automatically generated. So there you should understand this ID, password, all this correct or not. So this is completely like existing behavior. You need not design anything here, but you have to understand each and every point. You have to understand each and every point. Why? Because today you joined in one company, maybe like production support. Production support. I'm the bank manager. Okay, I'm the bank manager, and one person with the name Ravi joined my bank as a clerk. As a clerk, and ID and password is also created for him, Ravi, and password is 1234. Just an example. So one ID and password is created, and he has to log in and he has to start working. Am I correct? Now Ravi is coming to me and saying like, if he's logging in, it is taking to development studio. Getting my point? If Ravi is coming to me and complaining saying like, when I log in, it is taking me to development studio. So this as like a ticket will be raised by your bank manager, and production support team should fix it. Technical team should fix it. If you are a person joined in this production support team, you should clearly understand what is happening. This right? If Ravi is logging in, so there might be SQL query hitting to respect to table where ID and password might be correct, without which how he'll get next screen. ID and password should be correct. So there is something wrong linking happening in terms of role. So what is the database table? What is the SQL query? What is the value? Where you have to update? Without you knowing all these things, do you expect fixing this issue? No, right? You cannot. So you should understand what is the database table and what will be the SQL query and other things. So this anyway will cover in the tomorrow's class. So we have to understand something about operator related table. Consider another scenario. Another scenario meaning now another person, something like Sham. So is coming to bank manager and saying like, when I log in, it is taking long time to load. So the next screen is what I have to get, right? It is taking almost like 1 minute for loading itself. So if this is that slow, then they cannot carry their transactions, no? So again, bank manager will be raising one more ticket saying like, for this ID alone, it is taking long time for loading. So again, as a production support team member, what you have to do? So you will be just checking whether the ID, password, everything is correct. He's getting correct screen only, but slowness. So on clicking of this, whatever the SQL query being generated with this table, if it is taking like 30 seconds time, so why it is taking that long time is what you have to trace. Okay, so in terms of performance, SQL query, how much time it is taking, or SQL, is it hitting correct table or not? So there, if data is correct or not, this as a whole, you should be in a position to know everything. Okay, so only thing is you don't write any code, you don't write any SQL query, but you should know everything. You should understand everything. How much time it is taking, what is the SQL query, what is the table name, what is the respective column, and what type of validation is happening. So everything related to front end to back end, everything you should know as a developer. But you don't write coding anywhere. That is the specialty. Okay, fine. So today as a whole we're understanding something about installation of PEGA. Okay, so today please message me every one of you to send these details. Okay, installation details. So I'll be sharing you one video how to download this, and I'll share you one file also. Okay, I'll share you one file also, so you can just follow that video and you can just uh, install it. Okay, fine. And then we understood something about roles in PEGA. Okay, something about roles in PEGA. Okay, and then something about operator ID, something about operator ID. So you have to understand more about these things. This will continue in tomorrow's class. Clear, everyone? Any doubts? Clear? Okay, thank you.